confronting terror in a silent hotel room. Have you ever experienced that uneasy feeling when staying alone in a hotel room? It's likely not a common scenario for many, but I vividly remember the fear I felt as a kid whenever I had to sleep in a hotel room. Dark corners became ominous, and every 20 seconds, I'd glance back, half expecting someone to be lurking there. My paranoia not only drove me crazy, but also frustrated my parents, as I insisted on sleeping between them until I was around 9 or 10 years old. As time went on, I had to face my fears and gradually grew out of that childhood anxiety. Fast forward to my current age of 24, living on my own and frequently embarking on business-related trips. On one particular out-of-town assignment, my job had me staying at a Comfort Inn in North Carolina, with all expenses covered. The hotel was situated across the street from a big car dealership, my only recollection of the surroundings. With a day off ahead, I was looking forward to a relaxing evening, watching movies in my hotel room. Ironically, the chosen film was the first Saw movie, and during a scene where the character Adam hears sounds in his apartment, my childhood paranoia crept back momentarily. I thought I heard faint crackling noises emanating from the closet. Being 24, I chid myself for succumbing to irrational fears. I cranked up the movie volume, trying to drown out the mysterious sounds. To ensure a peaceful night's sleep, I took 2 sleeping pills, anticipating they would kick in by the movie's end. After turning off the TV and settling into bed, the intermittent crackling noises persisted. Not frequent enough to be overly bothersome, the sleeping pills began to take effect, and I dozed off within minutes. Suddenly, I awoke to the sound of fabric being rustled. In the darkness, I could barely make out a figure dressed in black with a hood pulled low, standing about 6'5" and weighing roughly 250 pounds. My heart raced as I saw him rifling through my bag. In a panic, I screamed, and he hastily fled the room, leaving me without my wallet and watch. While I was fortunate to escape physical harm, the incident carved a lasting memory that delved deep into my childhood fears. I had never heard of such a story on the news, and for someone like me, who once harbored an odd, specific fear as a child, this experience was simply catastrophic. At the edge of fear, when I was 17, tensions with my hot-headed dad escalated, leading to frequent explosive fights. Eventually, I found myself leaving home for the night after these clashes, seeking refuge in friends' houses or checking into a hotel. On May 9th, 2015, at the age of 21, I found myself at the Quality Inn and Suites, just half a mile from home. It was a desperate move, costing me almost $100, but it felt like the only option. Unlike the usual nighttime outbursts, this incident occurred around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I decided to clear my head by the outdoor pool, finding the entire hotel eerily empty. The pool, hallways, and even the lobby were deserted, except for the lone desk worker. With my room in the middle of the second-floor hall, I wondered why they'd given me that specific location when the hotel seemed nearly vacant. After spending some time in my room post-pool, a faint tapping on the door caught my attention. Ignoring it, assuming it might be housekeeping, I was surprised to hear the door's lock beep, and it slowly swung open, despite the "Do Not Disturb" sign. I called out, declining any service, but there was a pause before the door abruptly slammed shut. Curiosity getting the better of me, I stepped into the hall and saw the right leg of a woman turning the corner. I rushed to catch up, only to find an empty corridor with closed, unoccupied doors. Confused and a bit freaked out, I complained to the front desk about the rude employee named Rosa, who allegedly slammed my door. The woman at the counter promised to address the issue later. Feeling unsettled, I went out for dinner at TGI Fridays and returned to my room around 8 o'clock. Unable to return home due to ongoing family tension, I spoke to my mom on the phone about the emotional toll it was taking. Exhausted and depressed, I prepared for an early night, brushing my teeth, watching TV, and falling asleep at around 9 o'clock. The tranquility was shattered by a noise, and as I woke, a chilling realization hit me. A person stood at the left edge of my bed, uttering menacing words. Panicking, I screamed, feeling an overwhelming dread as the figure grabbed my throat. Despite her weak grip, I managed to break free and race to the door. The pursuit stopped at the entrance. At the front desk, I discovered that an employee had lost a master key with access to all rooms. Infuriated, I demanded a refund, cooperated with the police, and returned home, where, surprisingly, my dad showed a hint of sympathy after hearing my harrowing ordeal. Since then, I've avoided such nocturnal escapes, hoping to keep the terrors of that night at bay. As for the unhinged woman who attacked me, her fate remains unknown. Chilling encounter at the hotel. When I was 14, my family embarked on a trip to a ski resort nestled in the picturesque mountains of Colorado. As the oldest of 4 siblings, I had my older brother, a younger brother, and a 7-year-old sister. We were a tight-knit bunch, always getting along famously. On the second night of our stay at the resort's hotel, we decided to unwind in the sauna. The warmth enveloped us as we chatted and laughed, enjoying each other's company. However, our leisurely evening took a chilling turn when my older brother's appetite kicked in. He suggested that one of us should dash back to our room to fetch some snacks for the group. In a moment of questionable decision-making, we decided to send our little sister on this mission. Looking back, I can't fathom why we thought it was a good idea to send a 7-year-old alone. After a tense couple of minutes, we heard hurried footsteps echoing down the hallway. Breathless and visibly shaken, our little sister burst back into the sauna, recounting a horrifying encounter with a creepy man following her. Panic set in as we processed the gravity of the situation. Just as her tale unfolded, we spotted a stranger pacing around in the swimming pool area through the sauna window. I can still vividly recall his image, an older man, hunched over, wearing layers of winter clothing that clearly weren't meant for a dip in the pool. My brothers and I, gripped by shock, watched as the man slowly approached our location. The sauna had a one-way window, so he couldn't have known there were 4 of us inside. When he opened the door, he was met with an unexpected sight, freezing in place before retreating without a word. After what felt like an eternity, he exited not through the swimming pool area but the building itself. We hastily returned to our room, shaken to our cores. Once there, we shared the unsettling incident with our parents, who were understandably upset about allowing our sister to roam the hotel alone. Despite the scolding, they reported the incident to the front desk. Reflecting on that evening, I can't help but wonder what could have unfolded if the man had reached our sister before she made it back to the safety of the sauna. While guilt lingers for sending her alone, I am grateful that nothing more sinister occurred. In hindsight, it's clear that the man who followed her wasn't the hotel guest. He was a stranger with malicious intent who had somehow entered the building. The memory of that night serves as a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk in seemingly safe places. Late night disturbance. At 18, during my senior year of high school, I was part of the female softball team that achieved great success. Our triumphs led us to an invitation to an invitational tournament in Las Vegas. The hotel, a short 15-minute drive from the city, became our temporary home. Around 9 p.m., after splitting into groups, 3 close friends and I decided to share a room. An hour later, as we settled in for our first early morning tournament game, the hotel room's phone rang, a rare occurrence for us seasoned travelers. Wide awake and exchanging puzzled glances, we agreed that someone should answer. Volunteering, I picked up the phone and greeted the caller with a customary hello. Although the exact conversation has faded with time, a man's almost whispering voice on the other end claimed we hadn't paid for our room. He insisted that one of us needed to come down to the lobby immediately to settle the payment. Instantly, red flags popped up in my mind. I knew this couldn't be true, having witnessed our coach pay for the room not 2 hours prior. Besides, even if there were payment issues, It seemed highly unprofessional to call our room so late. Despite explaining that we had already paid, the man persisted, threatening consequences if we didn't comply. As a naturally paranoid person, the situation felt off. Refusing to let anyone go down to the lobby, I asserted that we would stay in our room until someone came to resolve the matter in the morning. If this were genuinely someone from the hotel, I reasoned, they would handle it appropriately. I shared the unsettling experience with my friends, and we collectively agreed that something wasn't right. Opting to stay put and go to sleep, we hoped the issue would be resolved the next day. No one came to evict us, but the phone in our room rang a few more times throughout the night. The next morning, we informed our coach about the situation. Upon inquiry at the front desk, they had no knowledge of any payment issues and asserted they would not have called our room so late. Although they agreed to check security cameras, we received no feedback for the remainder of our stay. Fortunately, nothing else transpired during our time in Vegas. The incident left me disturbed, filled with questions. Who called us, and why did they want one of us to leave the room alone in the middle of the night? How did they even know which room we were in? The more I ponder it, the more unsettled I become. But I'm grateful we made the decision to stay in our room that night.